Thank you. So let's begin, always at the beginning. And the beginning, in a milestone turn for this chapter for ICF Chennai and the Namma Chennai Charter chapter, as we fondly call it. Always the beginning story goes with a 4-letter word. And I'm wondering whether anyone in the audience can guess what that is. Just unmute yourselves and go.
Grow.
Grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is grow. And for those of you who don't know what grow is, it gives me one more opportunity to talk about it. We all light up when we think of grow. So grow is the vision of ICF Chennai Charter Chapter, something we embarked on almost 2 years ago. And grow simply is about everything we do in this chapter to grow coaching. Starts with coaching, and then grow coaches, grow the community, and of course, in all of this, the chapter grows. And we aspire to be a bold, bright, beautiful, and booming community ecosystem. And I sense, in the energy we all feel, we are there. And of course, there's lots more to do. So keep this in your mind. And when I talk grow, it's also important to draw our attention to the first pillar, which is grow coaching. Moving on to the next, and I'm sure many of you have seen me talk about this, but I'll talk about it again in a slightly different context, which is the 7 guiding values of our chapter. And there are a couple of them, while of course all 7 are very important and very dear to us. Today, I have highlighted 4 of them. So the first one is innovation. Second one is learning. Third one is inclusion. And the fourth one is my favorite, the spirit of community. So we have the vision, and then we have the focus on grow coaching. Then we have our values, and we want to sort of draw our attention to these values. Now, let me again take you to a third bit of information, which I would say as, my friend PMC here would often say, the jewel in the crown of ICF Chennai. And I don't mind saying that and borrowing his term, which is nothing but ICF India Conclave 2021, and aptly titled as Coaching for Growth, falling from our vision, where we aspired to take a very systemic view of coaching for growth in individuals, teams, organizations, and systems, which is pretty much everything. It was a completely virtual global event. Again, not surprising, no guessing points for guessing that on coaching and growth, right? I mean, anything in Chennai we do has got to connect back to grow and to growth, right? This conclave, ladies and gentlemen, was for those of you who were there, you know it, I don't have to say, but for those of you who missed it, was a unique coming together of the coaching ecosystem. And it was amazing, spread over 3 days. The most beautiful part was, it was probably a first attempt bringing together the whole coaching ecosystem with this belief that, a community of coaches can't really grow if the ecosystem does not grow, and we don't partner with the ecosystem. So we had clients, coaches, sponsors, organizations, stakeholders, coaching enthusiasts, and aspirants, everyone coming together. We had many learnings in the conclave, but I think the conclave left us amazed at one thing: the power and potential of professional coaching. And we realized we had just scratched the surface. We had just begun the discovery of possibilities in the 3 days of the conclave. I mean, how much can you do, right? The question was, how can we continue to grow coaching and drive thought leadership in the field of coaching? So the conclave concluded in end August. And of course, we had an after party, after conference, and, anything to sort of make the conference, sort of that atmosphere extend. But at one point of time, we had to sort of wind down, right? But this was the question that was playing in our heads and hearts. And we were left thinking, saying, could we create something? And I'm sort of tying all 3 here, right? The vision with the focus on growth coaching, the values with the focus on those 4 values that I called out. And of course, this big, massive conclave, which is not a conference, but an experience, I would say. And if you don't believe me, you must go to our YouTube channel where you can have the recordings of all the sessions and you would understand what I'm talking about. So the question was, can we create something and replicate that, would something that would, accelerate us towards our vision to grow coaching. Something that could bring the values of innovation, learning, inclusion, and the spirit of community to life. And something that could build and sustain the magic and impact that was created by CFG Ethos, Coaching for Growth Ethos. And after, a couple of months of soul searching and brainstorming, this is what we arrived at. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege to present something very close to the heart of ICF Chennai, and something which we believe would be a very, very strategic thing for us as we grow. Welcome to ICF Chennai Charter Chapter's first ever Communities of Practice, and aptly titled Grow Coaching and Thought Leadership. Please give me and give us a big round of applause. Thank you. So now that this has been revealed, let's talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts. I know many of you, the concept of the communities of practice is not very new to the ICF global system. There are very few chapters that have local communities of practice. And we're quite proud to say that we've taken the plunge. Of course, we don't know where this is going to take us, but I think with all the things we do in the chapter, we set out with a good intent, and somehow I think the ecosystem conspires to make it happen. And we believe this is the same approach with the COP or the communities of practice. But I would still like to talk a little bit about the nitty-gritties, not necessarily the mechanics, so that we are all on the same page as to what we would seek to achieve through our GCTL COP. The purpose of this COP, and I know it just seems like a nice sort of definition put together, but stay with me on the words, especially the words which are in yellow. To explore hitherto uncharted territories of knowledge and facilitate thought leadership related to coaching and coaching growth, which is how do we grow coaching within the coaching ecosystem, and very much aligned to the chapter vision grow. So this is the purpose. This is the why. Let's talk about the vision. So what's our dream? How do we see this? Where would we like to go? We would like to create an inclusive space. And I'm sure you all would understand why I've underlined those yellow words in yellow. And if you don't, I will explain in a bit. To create an inclusive space that will bring coach practitioners and diverse thought leaders together as a learning community to explore the growth of coaching and to ideate, envision, and discover innovative, future-focused approaches to coaching. The future is now. So we've got to do something about it. We've got to think ahead. And I think that's really why, how we see this COP, panning out. A little bit more about the mechanics of the COP before I will, end my address and presentation. This is the way we see this unfold, right? And this is like a commonly understood approach of COP, and you can study that. Typically, there are three intersecting circles, and I think the COP falls right there. There is the domain, right? I mean, why did we choose this COP, right? Why not something else? Why not executive coaching? Why not something else, health and wellness? We chose this because this is a domain we deeply care about, in this community. And I think it's also very important. That's why those yellow things all tied back to our values, right? Practice. It's not just enough, to get together. How do we practice this? So what can we together do about it? It is co-creation. It's not one person. It's not expertise like PMC was talking about. This COP effort is just not expertise. It's a mix of all three: experience, expertise, and exploration. And then the community, right? Who does this matter to? Who cares about it? And I think this is the intersection, and this is the way we need to visualize the COP. So we are imagining a community of those who are passionate about growth of coaching. Would love to talk about that, think about it, and about coaching thought leadership. Hey, what's next? It's really for the people who want to think beyond and ahead. A space that will foster co-creation, learning, and innovation. So each one of us is an expert. Of course, from time to time, we would invite SMEs or subject matter experts or thought leaders to just get us going. Sometimes our COP efforts would just be simply facilitated pure co-creation, and both are important. We understand that. And finally, we would like to have this as a well-planned and periodic activity. As I'm going to hand back over to PMC here, I'm very happy to introduce this team who is going to bring the COP to life starting today. First up, Baburaj Nair, PCC, and Shiva Subramaniam, PCC. Both of whom are very well-known coaches in the chapter and in the ecosystem. And both of them have kindly consented to be COP leaders. Every COP needs to have a leader. And of course, from the Board of Directors of ICF Chennai, we have Natarajan BACC, who's also our Director L&D, who is going to be the anchor director, so that we ensure that the support, the focus, and everything from the board, I think the organization side is available for the growth of the COP. And of course, I am very privileged to be a mentor for the COP. So with that, I am now going to invite the COP team of Shiva, Baburaj, and Natarajan to share space with me here for a minute so that all of you can see who they are. And what are they going to do? They're also not just COP leaders today, but they are going to be COP facilitators. So this you could consider is a semi-business first session of the COP, right? Where we are going to experience what probably could be there in store in the remaining sessions of the COP. And today's focus is going to be on grow coaching, exploring uncharted territories in emerging markets. And happy to welcome Shiva and Baburaj as the facilitators for this experience. And I hand it over from here.